Hey guys, my name is Inanula and I share with you years of personal experience in the fashion industry, giving you key insights into buying and merchandising skills. So, today I'm going to be sharing with you how to build a range, and what I would have mentioned in some of my previous videos is how focal building a range is in the buying and merchandising department, and that is because building a range is where the whole season begins. That's where we initially decide where the season is going to go, what we're going to put into our season, and we pull together all of our ideas and really make decisions on what we're going to put in for the next season. So, the first thing we would do is we would put all of our ideas on what we call a range plan. And what I've actually done for you is I've made up a mock range plan. So it's basically a huge Excel sheet that has all of the information from design to costing to colour to supplier details, where we're going to make it, how much it's going to cost us, just so many details. But I've done just a mock-up version, and this is as a general picture what it would look like. There would be so many other details involved, but I've just made like the key elements on here. And also for confidentiality, I've not shown you anything from my actual job, so this is just all like hypothetical, and I've made up a mock range plan. So just as an idea, the first initial thing we would want on our range plan is our designs. So that would be all of these pictures and sketches in the corner here in the first column. So I'll just highlight it now. And so that's what we would have done through design development. And what that would be is buyers and designers working together through trend analysis and, even comp shopping. All of those things really influence what styles we think we want to put forward in the next season. And then that's what we would put down on our range plan, just putting them down as initial ideas. And so that's how we would have achieved these styles. Then what happens with this range plan is we go forward into what I've mentioned earlier, sign-off meetings. And sign-off meetings is where we actually sign things off or cancel styles. And that's where, we weigh things up and go, we're definitely going forward with this, and we're dropping, all of the others that we do not want. So another thing that would influence this is comp shopping, which I have mentioned as well in some of my previous videos, and I will make a more detailed video on comp shopping, and I'll just show you all about it and how we actually, weigh up styles and do a comp shop. So comp shopping allows us to go onto the high street and look at what's happening there. And when we see an emerging style or we see other shops doing a certain style, we realise where the market is. Can we do that? Can we compete with that? Should we get into that style? Things like that. That's what comp shopping is. And that's what would lead us to have the designs that we have. And another thing that comp shopping would lead us to have is our selling price. So let's take, for example, the first style, the pink blouse that we've got, the pink top. So we've got a selling price on that of £20. And how that would have come about is we would have done our comp shopping, we would have been very aware of the market and decided, okay, a top like this is going for around £20. We can compete with that price, so let's make our top also £20. Or maybe we've seen it at a higher price and we've thought we can be more competitive, we can make it a bit cheaper, so let's go for that. And then you also take into consideration your branding, your who you are in the market as well, and who you're competing with and where you stand in it all. Can we get away with making it more expensive? Is that our brand, or are we a high street brand and pricing is very important to us? So those are the things that affect your selling price, and selling price has its own column, and these are like all of the selling prices that we would have for all of the styles that we want to go forward with. So what happens next after we've done our comp shopping, we've decided how the selling price, how much we're going to sell this style for. The next thing we need to consider is our cost price. So cost price is obviously very important, and so that would be in its own column here, and we would have a whole column dedicated to cost pricing of each of those styles. And how we get the cost price is we've taken our design, we've gone to a factory, and we've asked how much to make this, and they've quoted us for how much it would cost, and that's what we would put down in our range plan as the cost price. So we can see, for example, the first style, this pink top, we've got it selling at £20, and then we've got the cost price at £5. And there's loads of other details that go into that. For example, the supplier name, the supplier country. So for example, this one is going to be made by Top Factories United, and it's going to be made in India. So those are all the kinds of things that go into a range plan. And if you had a more detailed and more industrial tech range plan, there would be lead time. So for example, this top is going to be made in India. We need to decide how long that's going to take to get here, and that's what we would call lead times. And there would be a whole nother sheet for that, which we would call the critical path. And I'll make another video on critical path, but that basically determines our lead times, how long things are going to take to ship over here, how long things are going to take to make. So that's also very important. But just as a general idea of a range plan, I've just put the supplier name, the supplier country, cost price, and selling price. And so those two pricings, cost price and selling price, are very important because they determine our margin. So I'll just highlight our margin column, which would be here. And margin, particularly intake margin, is massively important to us when we are range building. And that's because that determines how much profit we're going to make. So this is where all the money is really, so cost price, selling price determine our margin. And how that is determined is you would have this little formula, literally, which is your selling price, take away your cost price divided by your selling price, and then that determines your intake margin, and that all sits in this column. So we have all of that calculated on this sheet because we want to see how that would work, and we want to see that would sit in as a formula as well, because we want to know if we were to reduce our cost a little bit, how does that affect the margin, or if we raise our selling price a little bit, how much does that affect the margin. So honestly, intake margin is hugely important, and I'll explain a bit more about intake margin right now.